Hello crypto geeks, and welcome to another exciting video. Some big news and analysis for you guys today. And this is in relevance to the recent legislation that's to be presented and potentially approved by Congress in the coming few days or weeks. Now, with that said, I know Jeremy Hogan's wife did a video just talking about those legislations and what's within that paperwork. Now, she said a couple of important things, and I'm going to analyze those in relevance to the lawsuit with Ripple and what the SEC is likely planning to do. Now we've gotten a much clearer picture, having looked at that legislation and seeing how the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit is moving forward. Now remember, one essential piece of this legislation or essential conclusion is that it's likely, we're looking at about 99% chance going to make XRP declared a non-security just based on the legislation. And if that is the case, then the SEC automatically is disqualified from being able to sue them because they become out of jurisdiction. Now, I'm going to talk about that a little bit because that's very important as to what will happen likely in the case moving forward. Before I get too far into it, I'm not a financial or a legal advisor. You guys have to always do your own research. And if you've not yet clicked that like button, please do so. And if you're not a subscriber, click that subscribe button. My Twitter is CryptoGeekNews. So make sure you follow me on there for the latest updates and news. And the Discord link is in the description. So we have been talking over the last couple of weeks about an unreasonable and almost weird quiet between the SEC and Ripple. Tied to that is that the SEC, Senator Warren, requested that the SEC send her a letter saying that they want to be in charge of crypto. If you remember that, she wanted that letter by the end of July 28th. And for that entire week, we didn't hear almost anything from the SEC, and we heard very little from Ripple as well. And more importantly, they didn't even end up sending her the document. So Gary Gensler didn't actually do what was requested of him by Senator Warren. So what does that say? I told you in my last video when I talked about this a couple of videos ago, I said I don't think Gary Gensler is going to want the SEC to take responsibility for crypto. And I think that at the time I told her, I think her response would be that SEC has too much on their plate to monitor crypto. And this is becoming closer to reality every single day that passes. Now, they are, whether they like it or not, the SEC, whether they like it or not, because of Jay Clayton, stuck in this lawsuit. And they may feel, and I told you a big part of this is a pride game. Particularly Gary Gensler, someone that's held numerous leadership positions. It's a pride game to say, we did wrong here. We need to apologize. And XRP is a currency. It's not a security like we have been saying all along. So if Gary Gensler didn't say, yes, the SEC wants to be in charge of crypto. He didn't send that letter to Senator Warren. And now there's new legislation that's going to Congress that's going to make it outside of the SEC jurisdiction. What does that tell you about where this case is heading? Now remember, Gary Gensler, numerous interviews, has been saying Congress needs to regulate and create new legislation for crypto. He didn't say that Congress needs to provide the SEC the authority to be able to regulate crypto. All of it links in that the SEC is not looking to be in charge of crypto. Now, it is unfortunate and very sad to see someone as we thought, as educated as Gary Gensler, be so arrogant as to not apologize and say, you know what, from the beginning, my predecessor, Jay Clayton did a mistake here and we need to step away and this, we need to settle or we need to, get rid of this lawsuit. But again, it's a pride game for the SEC. And if you don't believe me in this, look at the SEC moving forward in other lawsuits. They've never really stepped away. It's always a settlement where the company that they're suing comes in and says, we're going to pay you. We apologize. Just forgive us and here's the money that you want. It's never been that the SEC steps away because they've made a mistake. And I think the SEC right now and Gary Gensler see a way out of what is happening. And their way out is through Congress saying, yeah, it's not your job. And when that Congress says that the SEC is not your job, then automatically, without embarrassment, if you want to call it that, are left to leave this lawsuit. And what they will say is, we at the time we had jurisdiction, there was no legislation, we were doing what we thought was right, but Congress decided to remove us from this responsibility, and for that reason we've stepped away. So they save themselves face and at the same time get out of this lawsuit. Now, this could be an amazing news for Ripple. It could be great news for XRP. They get 100% clarity. In fact, it's great news for the entire market. And I think that could be one of the reasons that the entire market is on, it's going green, right? A lot of those cryptocurrencies are seeing a way into legislation and into full clarity. Now, when does this become not so great is depending on how long this legislation takes to get approved. Now, it's all set up and ready, just waiting for a vote right now to get it approved. So it could be a matter of days if Congress steps on it, right? Or if they keep delaying and saying, we don't like this part of the legislation, we don't like this part. Or if it fails in Congress, then we go back to square one. The nice thing in all of this is we are approaching the end of discovery. Now, the SEC, again, to save face, they don't want to lose this lawsuit. So if they get to a point where they feel that this legislation is not going to come in due time before this lawsuit ends or before they hear of a decision of some sort, they're going to have to step away. And that's when you will hear of a settlement. If they feel that this case is probably going to end before we hear anything back from Congress, they're going to have to end it in a way where they're not the losers, which up to this point, they are. But it's not official, right? Once it becomes official, it's something that's stamped on the SEC forever, right? They've lost this big lawsuit against a private company that fought essentially the government, and they've lost. And this will give courage and motivation to other companies that are in the process of being sued by the SEC. So it could have serious repercussions beyond this lawsuit. And you've heard me say this over and over again. This lawsuit is going to have repercussions for the SEC much further than Ripple, much further than crypto, right? The SEC is suing Elon Musk for other things that's not relevant to crypto, and they're suing a lot of big companies. If you can look, the number of cases they have under their arm, a huge amount. And this, again, it's like a bully, right? If somebody stands up to a bully, and has been bullying everybody, everybody's scared, and every time somebody comes, he shoves them, throw them down, shoves the next person down. The moment you have one person stand up and push the bully back, and the bully's gets a bit scared or apologizes, then everybody starts to get the courage to stand up. And if you're the SEC, you don't want that, because then you're going to be fighting every lawsuit. Look how many lawyers the SEC has had to call upon to fight this Ripple lawsuit. Can they do that with every lawsuit that they have right now? There's no way that they have the resources to support going through what they're going through right now with Ripple, with many other companies. They can't. If there's 3 or 4 companies going through or fighting Ripple, fighting the SEC as hard as Ripple is fighting them right now, I guarantee you the SEC would have no resources for anything else. Their entire energy would be put onto this lawsuit. Look at how long it's taking them to give in documents. Again, they've called 2 major lawyers, one that's worked for the Department of Justice for 11 years, and the other one that's been working in Chicago for settlements. They brought him from Chicago to try and fight this lawsuit. And look how many documents they've sent to the judge about changes in lawyers. The SEC is putting a ton of resources into this lawsuit. But they can't do that with every lawsuit. They don't have the resources, and they know it. And that's why they're putting as much energy as they can. But the bad thing with the SEC is all of this energy they're putting, they're redirecting into the wrong thing, because with everything they've done, they haven't even really won one. I've mentioned this. They've nearly won a discovery hearing. Every single other discovery hearing they've lost. They've nearly won, very slightly won, the one where they were asking for documents from foreign exchanges through government powers. And the judge says, you know what? You were doing it either way. You can continue to do it, but I need a copy of every single document. And sadly, for the SEC, obviously, great for XRP and Ripple, is that Ripple right now, is asking these documents for themselves. So they didn't even care to begin with. If the SEC was trying to threaten Ripple by saying we're gonna look at the documents that crypto exchanges, foreign crypto exchanges have through our government documents and government relations that we have with other countries, and Ripple's fighting this tooth and nail, you would think that Ripple has something to hide. But then a couple of weeks later, Ripple asked the judge, yeah, judge, can you go to these foreign exchanges and tell them to give you every single document they have about us? What does that tell you? That they were just fighting that to piss off the SEC. And really, they have nothing to fear. So this is very great, very bullish for the SEC, for Ripple, and excellent, obviously, for XRP. And I don't think it's only XRP holders that right now notice this positivity in where the Ripple, the case, this lawsuit is heading. But I think everybody in crypto is looking at it and saying, this is very good for crypto. So great news, guys. Again, if you've not clicked that like button, you're really doing me a huge favor, and I extremely appreciate if you could click that like button. It's free, guys, and it takes only a slide of the mouse. So click that like button. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe for the latest, and I keep you guys posted. I try to do it if there's some big document or anything, minute by minute updates, especially on my Twitter, Crypto Geek News, and on Discord. The link is in the description. So make sure your notifications are on. I'll keep you posted. If you have any questions, leave them in the description. And guys, when do you think that this lawsuit is going to end? Do you think it's going to end because of Congress? Do you think it's going to end because they're going to settle? Or do you think that the SEC is just plain and simple going to lose this lawsuit? Leave that in the description. I'll take a look at it. And I'll see you guys in the very next video. See you then.